how many prides you stole. Imagine how many hearts you broke. Everyone in town knows about you. Happy-go-lucky girl. The life you live isn't good. Happy-go-lucky girl. Oh, I tried my best to change you. Oh, how much I love to control you. Oh, happy-go-lucky girl. Oh, happy-go-lucky girl. Oh, I tried my best to change you. Oh, how much I'd love to control you. Everyone in town knows about you. Happy-go-lucky girl. The life you live isn't good. Happy-go-lucky girl. Imagine how many prides you stole. Imagine how many hearts you broke. Oh, happy-go-lucky girl. Happy-go-lucky girl. Happy-go-lucky girl.
Greetings and welcome to each and every one to Talking Music podcast, our very first podcast. My name is Bid, and today I got a very, very special guest here in the studio with me, and who's going to tell us a little bit about why she chose that song. Please introduce yourself.
So my name is Stella Kanu, and we have known each other a long time. As you know, my world and my life is really focused on culture and everybody having access to culture, and music is probably one of the simplest ones.
Stella, what do you do?
I am CEO at Shakespeare's Globe.
Booyah! See that? Who would have known?
Who would have known?
Who would have known? Who would have known? Stella, I got to ask you, when you sent me the list of songs, okay, that you're gonna. When I saw this song, I thought, no. I really couldn't understand why. I would not say you and reggae.
Oh no, I am a huge reggae fan.
For real?
Yeah, reggae and lovers rock and
No.
dub is really my thing.
What?
Yeah, absolutely. But I chose this track because my dad passed away when I was quite young.
Right.
And he was really into music, like vinyl upon vinyl upon vinyl upon vinyl. And although I came from a Nigerian family, my dad was really into reggae. And there'd be moments when, like, if my mum would go to work, my dad would, like, put on a red light in the living room. His friends would come over and we'd pretend to be sleeping upstairs. And they would have, like, these sessions where they would play all the stuff that they really loved. And it's probably the moments where I could hear and feel my dad relax. And this track was one of the tracks that we had on a 7. You remember those old 7-inches?
Yes.
And, you know, we had a clunky vinyl player. And there was this one track. This track actually in the 7-inch came with another, it kind of moved and molded into Jamaican Girl.
Oh.
And so the two tracks together felt joyous because it's happy-go-lucky girl, and I wanted my dad to see me like that.
Right.
And I thought, oh, he's thinking of me when he probably wasn't. He's probably thinking of my mum. But I thought, oh, that feels like me. The bounce, the rhythm felt like me. But Jamaican Girl, which kind of this track molded into on the 7-inch, I was like, oh, my dad is liking something that is Jamaican. And, you know, African and Jamaican, sometimes Nigerian and Jamaican, we have a little bit of beef sometimes, even though
we do.
we are of the same roots.
We are the same
and
people.
So I found it like, oh, this is really naughty. But I love the track. And so this is in homage to my dad, who really, really, along with my music teacher at primary school, really got me into music. My mum liked music, but she was a Jehovah's Witness. So music was like a taboo. But my dad was very relaxed about music.
Was he Jehovah's Witness?
Oh, no, absolutely not. He wasn't. No, not at all.
Oh, really?
Not at all. So I had a bit of freedom with him about music and a relaxedness about what we could listen to. It meant he signaled with this track and Monkey Spanner. Don't know if you remember that, the track Monkey Spanner, which is a bad track. And he kind of signaled to me that you could listen to anything because the music wasn't forbidden. Right. And so that's why I wanted to start with that track, but also a homage to David L. Carney.
You know what? I was so surprised when I saw that. The other tunes that you chose, I wasn't. I thought, I couldn't. But this one,
Are you trying to say I haven't been predictable?
No, because none of those songs that you chose, we were going to hear later on. No, there was one I knew. Okay. I thought,
that's me.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one I thought, okay, that one. But the other ones, that's interesting. Then I listened to them. Of course, I listened to them. I said, oh, Stella's got some style here.
And you know that I could have chosen hundreds and hundreds. I really didn't like having to choose 5. And as you know, I sent you lots of different
I know, but you know what? I mean, this is the 3rd podcast, and, you know, we thought the podcast is really about music, and we were going to give everybody a chance to bring as many songs as they like. But then we thought, let's do 5. Then people really will have to think. Yeah. I mean, I've said to you many times, I don't think I could choose 5 songs. I'm not sure I could, but and I appreciate because you sent me the list, then you whittled it down to and I said, no, you still got to get to 5. Then you sent me another, I said, no, it's still got to be 5, Stella. Still got to be 5. Anyway, that was your first song, Stella. Okay. Thank you very much for coming along to the first podcast. And basically what we're going to try and do over the next few months is invite people like yourself who are known over the years and who I've worked with, who I actually respect a lot. Come down, let me find a little bit more about you, about all of you, okay? But through music. Because, you know me, I love music and I know you love music. So this is the reason why we're doing this podcast. But slowly moving on to the next song. Okay. The next song, should we play it first or do you want to talk about it?
Let's play it first.
Presenting you, sweet mother. Sweet mother, I no go forget you for the suffer way you suffer for me. Sweet mother, I no go forget you for the suffer way you suffer for me. When I dey cry, my mother go carry me. She go say, my pikin, wetin you dey cry, yo. Stop, make you no cry again, oh. When I wan sleep, my mother go bed me. She go lie me well for bed, oh. pikin, oh. When I dey hungry, my mother go run up and down. She dey find me something when I go chop, oh. Sweet mother, sweet mother, oh, eh, oh. So mama, sweet mother. When I dey sick, my mother go cry, cry, cry. She go say instead when I go die, make she die, oh. She go beg God, God help me, my pikin, oh. Oh, my mother. If I no sleep, my mother no go sleep. If I no chop, my mother no go chop. She no dey tire, sweet mother. I no go forget the suffer where you suffer for me, yeah, yeah. Sweet mother, yeah, sweet mother, oh, yeah. Oh, sweet mother, I will never forget you. For the suffer you suffer for me. And if I should forget you, therefore I forget my life. The air I breathe in. Yeah, so. And there are you men on earth, dare you not forget your mother. For if you forget your mother, you've lost your life. Sweet mother, I no go forget you for the suffer where you suffer for me. Sweet mother, I no go forget you for the suffer where you suffer for me. Yeah. When I dey cry, my mother go carry me. She go say, my pikin, wetin you dey cry? Yeah, yeah. Stop. Make you no cry again. Oh, oh my mother, oh sorry. When I want sleep, my mother go beg me. She go lie me well for bed, oh. She cover me cloth, say make you sleep, my pikin, oh. When I dey hungry, my mother go run up and down. She dey find me something when I go chop, oh. Sweet mother, eh, sweet mother, oh, hey. When I dey sick, my mother go cry, cry, cry. She go say instead when I go die, make she die, oh. She go beg God, God help me, my pikin, oh. If I no sleep, my mother no go sleep. If I no chop, my mother no go chop. She no dey tire, sweet mother. I no go forget the suffer where you suffer for me, yeah, yeah. Sweet mother, hey, sweet mother, oh, hey. Oh, sweet mother. Oh, yes, so.
Wow, what a tune. Classic. Stella,
It's
why?
an iconic track, right?
Why that tune?
Well, there's two reasons. One is music for me is so much about gathering.
Right.
And this track, my mum, when she was alive, was a member of the women's Igbo group. Right. And so every month, every 2 months, there would be a big dance. And always this track would be played and everybody would just drive to the dance floor. And that's when you see all the aunties like let loose. Right. And so for me, when I was young, those dances and this track that was always played, it's played at weddings, at funerals, everywhere. For me, I could not do my 5 songs without this track there. And the other thing is that unfortunately, when my mum passed away, she had spent some time in a coma in the hospital, and me and my sisters, all my sisters were all over the world, and we had to wait for everybody to arrive at the hospital bed, and we all had an opportunity to spend her last few hours with her. And we just, on a whim, just decided to play all her favourite tracks. And that included diverse things, Lucky, Bob Marley, some hymns, Sound of Music soundtrack, classic. Yeah. But also what we were able to do was to all of us to sing and dance to this song as she took her last breaths.
Oh, wow.
So this was how we ushered our mother out of the world, was through this track.
Sweet Mother.
So, Sweet Mother. Yeah, and we danced around her bed and we sang it out loud, and she took her last breath to this track. And so that was a full circle moment, but it also really demonstrates the power of music and why it is a container for not just identity and who we are and our stories, but also our journeys and where we are going to. So I really had to have this track as part of this list.
Oh, you know what, Stella, I've got a bit of a... because... That's so touching what you just said about you and your sisters. Oh,
but how lucky were we to be able to do that?
Wow. Well,
yeah, it's incredible.
I tell you what, that's a nice little switch. Tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you grow up, Stella?
So, one of my other tracks I would have had was Ty's Brixton Baby. So I grew up in Brixton. And I was spent most of my growing up in a housing estate in Oval called the Ashmole Estate, which was a really interesting experiment. So that estate was created at the end of the River Effra, which goes from Brixton all the way through, ends at the top of Oval, Kennington, and they built this housing estate that was like a social experiment. So there was lots of, it was really focused around class. Okay. So there was a lot of working class families there, and it was really focused on families. And there were probably, on a housing estate of maybe 100, 150 people, maybe 10 African or Caribbean or mixed families. So that housing estate was also the backdrop to so much learning, so many friendships, and so much about growing up happened around that estate, and the neighbouring areas of Dorset Road and Wisdom House and all of these spaces.
Okay, can I just, how many of you was in your family?
So I'm one of 5 girls.
5 girls?
Mm. Yeah, we were the army.
The Kanu army.
The Kanu army.
What was it like growing up there?
Well, it was really interesting because, you know, I think I mentioned that my mum was Jehovah's Witness. So my parents were quite strict in lots of ways, but we got a lot of freedom around culture. Yeah. So we had a lot of opportunity to listen to music, to get interested in drama and painting and all of that kind of stuff. And we were really focused on the friendships that existed on the estate, as well as the occasional game of knockdown ginger. So it was like both full of lots of chores. Right. So probably from the age of 9, I was cooking for the family, doing the laundry at the weekend, all of those kind of things, but always trying to find these pockets of playfulness where you could go out. Yeah. And we, you know, we're talking about the 70s and the 80s, we were feral. So, you know, when we weren't like having to do chores, we were just out and about, and we could be anywhere. We could be in Pimlico, we could be walking in Victoria, Queen Mother's, swimming pool, anywhere. So lots of adventure.
And I think sometimes I look at the way some of the young people are sort of patrolled around. And I think when we were kids, I mean, our parents had no idea where we were. Absolutely no idea where we were. And we were little kids.
Yeah,
we would just go and get on a bus and we just go.
Everywhere.
Until the end of that bus. And the parents had no idea where
Sometimes when I think of the things we got up to, I'm like, why did we never think of danger? We never. Apart from, you know, the guy, what did we used to call them? The guys in the dirty old Macs. You know, there's a lot of flashing in the 1970s. But we weren't really
dirty old men.
Yeah, dirty old men. So we weren't really aware of danger in the same way that we might be now, because we were really focused on the world is our oyster and adventure. And playfulness was that opportunity to also explore who we were. So we leaned into that. And I think we are part of a whole, and by we, I mean my sisters, we're part of a whole generation of Generation Xers who were just raised differently. We had to take care of ourselves. We had to understand what our needs were and how we were going to achieve them, because often our parents were working. Yeah. And so you didn't have the opportunity to, you know, to test things out. You tested them with each other. So friendship groups were really important. And the intimacy of growing together and learning together was part and parcel of, you know, the experience of growing towards an adult. And I think people grow towards adulthood differently now. Some of it I don't understand and some of it I do, and some of it is better. It's always better to be taken care by your caregivers. But, you know, there were different challenges around in those days.
Can I ask you, was you happy?
I like to think I was a happy-go-lucky girl, yeah. I think I was, but I think I was also troubled because I was and am incredibly sensitive to my environment. Right. And I think that so often we, you know, and if I give a stat that like out of every second family, black family, one of them will be living in poverty. And in the UK.
In the UK?
In the UK.
For real?
For real. And so that is a tradition also, but generationally right now, that's where the stats are. And I think that we can underestimate the impact of poverty on children, because so often we tell ourselves, I didn't really know we were poor and we didn't know about the money aspect, but we knew that something wasn't quite right. You know that it's not right that both of your parents have 3 jobs each. You know that is not right, but you don't know how to explain that. And so for me, I was often troubled by my environment. I was troubled about the pressures my parents were under. And I think now, if I think about, my parents were also really impacted by the Biafra War. You know, I was born in the early 70s. Right. It was very, very fresh, and they were still in contact with home, and all of those things I absorbed and observed. And I think that had an impact on my desire for adventure, but also my desire to reflect on the state of the world, which has stayed with me and carried me through my career. I wouldn't have a career in culture, in the arts, without all of that knowledge and understanding about we need a valve that allows us to let go of some of these pressures.
Can I just ask you, how did you get involved in the arts? Was that from a young age? Yeah,
definitely. I think I started off absorbing like art, being really creative and thinking that I would have a career that was really creative. I thought I'd be a singer because I really enjoyed singing.
Oh, right, okay.
And I used to sing a lot with my sister Angela, who you know. Okay. And, you know, we'd do the odd live
What kind of songs? What did you use to sing?
They were all perfectly, no swearing,
right.
All, wholesome work, apparently. We did a lot of covers. But I thought that I would do that because I could see.
What was your name? What did you call yourself?
Oh no, we would sing for others. So we would sing in group. We would sing for other groups. We'd be backing.
Oh, you were backing singers?
And then I ended up doing a little bit of studio work, and then I had a band when I went to university.
Oh, okay.
And I would toured with a band that was called the Ornamental Hermits. Which was a strange mix of neo soul and Sade, punk and dub. It was a very, very eclectic mix. Yeah, it was really eclectic. So we would, again, do a mixture of originals and covers, but it was a really great outlet. So I thought that I would take that route. Right. But actually what I recognised really early on, when I returned from university home, I recognised that so much of the kind of Black and Asian cultural organisations were falling by the wayside. And then I made a switch. I decided, like, I want to know how I can make that work survive and not just get involved in creating work. So I decided I'm going to be behind the scenes. I'm not going to be out in front.
Is that when you joined Cardboard Citizens, or was that
probably a little bit after that? Yeah,
Oh, wow.
But it's part of that same trajectory of like, what is it like to be in an organisation and to make something sustainable that has value at its heart?
So who did you work? What was your first arts job?
I would say that I kind of followed the tradition of my mum and dad in a way, in that I always had lots of jobs.
Right.
So it's really hard to pinpoint like when it was like truly art. But I did start off working for as a volunteer for Second Wave in Deptford, and I think they still exist.
I know Second Wave.
Yeah, and I was doing I was doing work around drama, and then I moved into doing work around drama and film and video for like young women's projects. So there was always, in everything that I was doing to try and earn money, there was always a little bit of a creative element to it. But I would say that Cardboard Citizens was one of the most important jobs that I had, in that it just had it really excited me.
Because that's when we first met.
That's where you and I first met.
That's when we first.
And it would be 1990.
I was trying to work out when.
I'm not saying any dates. Let's move on.
I was trying to work out when, because I thought about it the other day when I thought
it would have been about 1999, 98, 99.
Yeah, I think I was 17 then.
Yeah, I was 10. 10 months old, I was.
Stella, you're making me laugh as always. You know what we're going to do? We've done a little bit of cultural background. I think maybe we need to play the next song.
Let's go ahead.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's
do
that.
What? Let me see if I can just set this up. Ooh, where am I? Okay. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Actually, it's by
Ty.
It's by Ty, and you say you grew up in Brixton. Oh.
From the days when it wasn't safe to gaze, cause some people had their ways. Reggae music was the heartbeat. Loud music hit the car beat. Chauffeur driven angels in their pushchairs. Head ties, headscarf, different footwear. Blue jeans is the uniform. Pretty girls walking around like unicorns, unaware of their beauty, getting judged by their chest or the size of their booty. We are many colors, cultures and others. We don't all mix, but we blend with each other in this funny little matrix we call home, where you learn to really watch your tone or guard your phone. The relationship with Popo is so-so. God help you with your cocoa, it's loco.
I come from Brixton. I come from Brixton, baby. Born and raised, you never cease to amaze me. Phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3.
You're either rich or struggling gracefully in a place far from make-believe. Hair braids and weave, maybe it's Maybelline. Hard nights for the days between. There is a sunshine, Bill Rivers, in the faces of those still with us. Take away plus destiny delivers. Here today, gone tomorrow, many rivers. Folks cutting coconuts in the summer. Watch your back, youths might do a runner. Run up on you doing dumb shit or dumber. Might catch a black eye from your mama. Families of all shapes and sizes, wearing intricate but great disguises. Well aware of how great the sky is. Watch yourself, we don't play surprises.
I come from Brixton.
little feisty, South London, baby. Though this gift will take me to travel afar. Took me out the ends, but begins in my heart. See, I've been around the world and I've come back. Though you see me in the village like the new bougie black. Cause this village that raised me, it just keeps on changing. And I'm trying to keep up with this race I'm racing. Fighting to grow so we don't get stuck. And my mom will let you know that it was more than luck. Cause the streets do call and some do fall. But we rise up to do it for love. Keep eyes up, cause it comes from above. And when we don't have a lot, you know the love is enough. I do it for you, I do it for me. I do it cause we Brixton, baby. I come from Brixton, baby. Born and raised, you never cease to amaze me. Phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3. I come from Brixton. I come from Brixton, baby. Born and raised, you never cease to amaze me. I come from Brixton, baby. I come from Brixton.
Ty, Brixton, baby. I've heard so much about that guy, but I never got to meet him. So bless up, Ty, wherever you are. But you just told me that you met him, you worked with him.
Yeah, we did. When Lambeth Council was applying to be the Borough of Culture, I can't remember what year it was now, Ty and I ran a workshop with local community of all ages and Lambeth councillors and Lambeth Council staff. And we just did this extraordinary thing where it turned into this really inspirational space where everybody was sharing the kind of future they wanted to see. Right. I think that was the question of like, what is the future? And then at that point we were looking 20, 30 years ahead, and it got very intimate and very real really quickly. And I think that was also to do with Ty's sense of vulnerability, his openness, his warmth, his understanding of people. And we had 2 hours of extraordinariness. And yeah, something I'd never forget. I thought he was incredible at that day. And that's the only time I'd really worked with him. Okay. And, you know, really sad that he's no longer here.
I mean, I heard the news, like I said, I never met him, but I heard so much about the guys. You know, he sounds like somebody everybody should know, you know? But going back to Brixton, tell us about growing up in Brixton back in them days.
Well, it's really interesting because this weekend I was in Brixton this weekend and going through some old haunts and just checking things as they should be. Things hadn't moved on. It's a real barometer of like the progression of London for me, Brixton. And I've got, you know, I know Brixton like the back of my hand. Right. And so it's a very, very special place for me. And I think for me, Brixton was always about being able to see ourselves reflected. Right. And all the community was there, and it was combined with the bright colours of fabric in the market, the freshness of food in the on the market stalls, the Iceman who would be with his cart going through Brixton. So for me, there was something very village-like about Brixton always, because I could get to it really easily. I would walk there. We'd have loads of activities or meet people there, but also it reflected all the generations and everything that we kind of knew and understood. So for me, not just a colourful place because it was interesting, but a colourful place because it was every dimension of who I was, what I came from, and what I hoped to be.
So you said you was in Brixton recently. How did you find it?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because
the Brixton you're talking about is your back in the day when you. Yeah. How do you find the Brixton now?
That's a tough one because there's still remnants of the old Brixton in the buildings, in, you know, the memories that we bring to places and streets, and the architecture hasn't really changed, but the identity of Brixton is changing, and it feels like there's a tension there. It's a place that I could never imagine you could get so many residential development blocks in 1 square mileage, but they're doing it. And I think, it's a tension. I think it's always been a place where, the modernisation agenda around, like, we're going to, bring in all these different eateries and we're going to make it profitable and commercial and attractive. I think it's done that. And I think, I think that the respect and the care that Brixton has had from generations of migrants, from generations of communities and families that care about each other, I hope is able to continue, but I don't know.
It's really interesting, Brixton. I used to love going to Brixton back in the day. I mean, that's one of my favourite place to go. I don't really like going to Brixton anymore. I don't know why, but I just don't feel the same way. And it's funny, I had some friends over this year from Canada, and one place I wanted to go to was Brixton.
Wow.
People
because it's iconic.
People still want to go to Brixton.
Absolutely.
So they dragged me screaming to Brixton for the day. You know what I mean?
Well, there is also now Brixton House, which is the old Oval House.
Right.
I also used to run.
Talking about the Oval House, you used to be at the Oval House.
I was at
and
the
you were
Oval House.
part of the person who got the money for Brixton
Yes.
House. A lot of people don't know that.
Yes.
I know
did
that.
all the plan of how we were going to transfer from Oval to Brixton. And Brixton House is aiming to be that beacon that combines both the old and the new, and really focused on young, up-and-coming talent of the global majority, really investing in people and culture and reflecting back who we are, whether that's new identities that are emerging, whether that's our future selves, or whether that's a little bit of the past. So that's a little beacon of hope in Brixton, I think, for me, and one of the reasons why I still go to Brixton to go there.
I was just about to say, are you still involved? Or
I go and watch shows every now and then. Yeah, I do.
How does it feel? Because that's something that you set up.
Lots of hands to the plough.
Okay.
Definitely lots and lots of hands. And obviously, its current formation is down to a whole new set of team, a whole different team of people. But it was my childhood theatre as Oval House.
Right.
So the estate that I lived on at Ashmole backed out onto, you'd climb over the fence and you could get into Oval House Theatre. So it was always a very important part of my identity in growing up. It was the place where I saw the combination of politics being activated through theatre, music, people talking about what was happening in their lives. And so it's a very important place for me. So I'll never let go of what Brixton House is today, because it's rooted in so many different things. But I wish it luck.
The Oval House is, I know so many people in the theatre world who come from the Oval House, from youth theatre. Did you know Karina?
I did, Karina Johnson.
I did youth theatre?
No, I was never involved in youth theatre.
Oh, you was never
I was
involved.
always just climbing over fences and going into the White House and raiding the costumes. And what was really interesting, do you remember the Comedy Store comedians, the Comedy Store players, and the early days of Whose Line Is It Anyway? Oh, not Whose Line Is It Anyway? Lots of like really famous comedians of the 80s were there, black and white, were at Oval House. And of course, it spawned and created and nurtured a lot of talent that the UK is now benefiting from, and also America is benefiting from. And that's what really good culture does, is that it creates and it grows and it nurtures and it flowers. And Oval House was one of those. And I'm hopeful that Brixton House would also do the same.
You know what you're just saying, Stella? I didn't know that. Maybe what Brixton House needs to do is collate all those people who come from the Oval House. I mean, it'd be really interesting to see who went to the youth theatre and where they're now.
In a way, I agree with you. But you know what? I would say that up and down the country, there are theatres that have the same story, because that's what we do. We nurture talent. We nurture and encourage people to consider, you could do this for a career. You could really, if you put your mind to it and learn your craft, this can become something that you can do. And there is no theatre in the country that doesn't have a success story or several. So, and it's the same at the Globe. You know, there are so many people who started their careers at the Globe and are now, you know, out and about in the world, in Hollywood, doing their thing. So for me, it isn't that is really unique to Oval House or to Brixton House or to Shakespeare's Globe. It's that's what we do, and it's not known that that's what we do.
Is it? But the reason why I'm saying that is for ordinary people like myself, it'd be nice to know, oh, you know, that person, that's where they started from. Because a lot of the time you just see people on TV. Yeah. You don't know their journey. Yeah. And this is probably one of the reasons why we're doing this. But somebody like you know, that's the CEO of the Globe. Yeah. I mean, which is one of the most iconic theatres in the world. You started around from where? From Oval House. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's that kind of inspiration to younger people that's actually, you know what, seriously, because I grew up around Deptford. The Albany was my theatre. So it saw loads of sound system and all kind of things down there. And I love the Albany. I love the Albany. Every time I go there, I still have memories of all the, you know what I mean? I've DJ'd there, I've seen sound. I mean, it's something that means a lot.
The Albany right now is being run by 2 black women.
Do you know that?
Yeah.
And you see, I didn't know that. And I was at the Albany today.
Oh, how interesting.
I was doing a workshop at the Albany today.
Really powerful leadership coming out of there. Yeah.
Really?
Incredible.
Oh, we need to talk. we need to talk. Yeah. Trying to think, I've lost my thought where we're supposed to be at now with this conversation. Are we going to play another?
I think we're going to play another.
Let's play another tune. You know, I got to ask you, what that tune?
It's a bad track.
It's as simple as that.
I love house music.
Oh, really?
Like, I love it. I love it. And there's something about deep, soulful house that is like vibrationally me. So I love this track.
And Quentin Harris is bad.
Love it.
Quentin Harris is bad. You ever get a Quentin Harris tune? Get it.
Even if you're not into house, like you
Quentin
cannot
Harris
not move to that track.
Thank you for that tune. What I really wanted you on this podcast for is that I want to find out you are the CEO of the Globe Theatre. And I just want to find out, how is it going?
Well, I am 2.5, almost 3 years in.
Really?
So, yeah, there's been a lot gone on. Thank you. There's been a lot gone on. And it's going really well.
Okay.
And it's going well for several reasons. Mostly because I think that I've been able to really think into the future about, you know, what do we need from culture?
Right.
And in particular, what do we need from a figure like Shakespeare and the plays that he represents? And so it's really easy to think of Shakespeare as being just this very white figure, or this figure that is like this symbol of Britishness, which of course he is. But actually what we've been able to do, and this is before my time and during my time, is to really challenge who gets to own Shakespeare.
Right.
And we do that in several ways. So we do that through, mostly through our education department we have full-time academics who are looking into early modern theatre, looking into Shakespeare
at the Globe.
So we have a research faculty and we run an MA in Shakespeare.
Wow.
And we also have these academics that are looking at, well, what was London like then in the 1600s? What was really going on? And they are feeding into all of the kind of intellectual knowledge across the globe around those times. So being able to really think about how the movement of people, what was London really truly like? How can we prove that Othello was not an anomaly?
Right.
How can we make sure that we are getting a real sense of what is it that Shakespeare is saying in these plays? And often they're really human questions that Shakespeare is asking and answering. And so we lean into that through the academic credibility. And then we have a creative team that are adapting Shakespeare regularly because, you know, there's a limited number of plays. And so it's on rotation. And, you know, it's a big theatre to fill.
Yes.
There is 1,500 people
Yes.
twice a day that can get into that space. And so we're constantly looking at how do we open the lid to these, to not the plays themselves just as plays, but as conversation starters. What's the conversation in here? And how does this relate to who we are now, right now? So it feels really apparent and credible for us to think about Othello being set in the Metropolitan Police and looking at the racism through Iago and Othello and how Desdemona gets caught up in that through the lens of race. And so we are doing that with all of the work to try and keep, you know, show and demonstrate the relevance of what Shakespeare was saying, which then means not only are people owning the conversation that the play opens, that we're also able to have a really diverse cast because anyone can play any part. And that means then what you see on stage is really diverse and reflective of London. The conversation that we're having about the plays is really relevant and closely aligned. So at the moment we've got Romeo and Juliet, you know, supposedly the greatest love story in the world. But what our team has recognised is actually there is a issue of young people, violence, knife crime, suicide. How do we lean into that for an audience of young people under the ages of 18? So we now have a Romeo and Juliet that's really fast-paced, that's 60 minutes long, that's really focused on issues that might be relevant to young people today. And we've been working with the knife crime unit and young people who are also involved in that project to help us to craft this play differently. So these kind of tools at our disposal mean that we are opening the lid at how British is this figure and these plays, and how it's relevant for every single person that cares about what does it mean to be human, what are the things that get in the way, and how can we have a conversation together about our world now and tomorrow.
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you, Stella. I never been to the Globe before until you started working there. Okay, and the reason why is because all the time I never thought it was for me. I never saw anybody on the stage who actually looked like me. But all of a sudden, over the past few years, I've started seeing people, and it's all about seeing people that you think, actually, I want to go and see that, because I just always thought Shakespeare is that, oh man, I have to sit
You have to learn it at school.
Yeah, I have to sit for that thing, you hear me? And I don't really want, but now I went to go and see your Deep as You.
Deep as You, yes.
Excellent.
Which is Chadwick Boseman's, the one play that he wrote, R.I.P. We are doing a lot of R.I.P. today.
Yeah.
But yeah, in honour of the ancestors, I would say. And so his piece that he wrote when he was a student at Howard University was also about something that, truthfully, that had happened to his friend.
Right.
And Deep as You is about loss and what happens when somebody passes away and those that are left behind have to pick up the pieces.
Excellent production. I mean, went there, let me tell you, so went there to go and see a matinee with my friend Sandra, and then we just ended up bumping into different people. It was just the two. By the end of the evening, then somebody said, there's something going on at Africa Centre. There's about 15 of us. I mean, it was just one of those really lovely afternoons. Went there, two of us, then you ended up about 15. But we knew how you knew that person. Yeah. It was just really, really nice. And everybody, I had to say, big up all your team. Okay, everybody at the club, because that was such a brilliant production. They made everybody.
It's still on. We've extended the run, so it's still on.
Yes, I just got an email today.
Okay. And it combines hip hop and musicality. It's lyrical, so it kind of feels akin to Shakespeare, but it's with a different modern American twist to it. But the issues that are in there are for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always struggled with Shakespeare, but that one I sort of liked. But talking about struggles, I mean, is there been problems about being the CEO of the club? Is there a struggle on your journey so far?
If I put a lens on it, I would say that it would be disingenuous for me to say everything is hunky-dory.
Right.
What we know, the facts are, is that being the first Black female leader of a world-class iconic institution that is really aligning itself with Britishness and really aligning itself with a kind of experience that some people love and some people don't, that in itself inherently is a challenge. Right. It's a challenge to build a sense of credibility. It's a challenge for people to trust that you are going to be really faithful to the roots of an organisation, and that you're also going to create change, because nobody brings me into their organisation if they don't want change.
Is that that's your thing? That's your
you either want more money in the coffers, or you want your people to step up and upscale, or you want actual real change. And I am doing all three of those things at the Globe. And so for me, there's something about recognising the challenges that are not just inherent at the Globe, but that kind of follow you as a smart, capable, inspired, energized, mission-driven, value-led leader. All of those things inherently mean that sometimes you're going to be in pockets of spaces that can't handle all of that. And sometimes you're going to be in spaces where you're silencing some of that in order to make other people comfortable. So if I think about my career, it has always been a journey about the balance between those things. But, I'm now a woman in my mid-50s, and now I'm really focused on change. How can I make sure that I'm embedding change in a way that doesn't mean when I leave, it all goes back to something else? Right. And so the mission has become sharper. With more definition. I'm interested in more and more people understanding why in biblical times and in times gone past, ancient times, and in times before, industrialization, culture was something everybody owned. Storytelling, dances that are part of rituals in every culture on this planet. And we have lost that in a way because we are now commodifying everything. Music is now an industry when actually it is the container for energy. That words are now held in spaces where they either have weight or they don't. But we also know they are a container for the things we want and wish and know and want to share. And so for me, there's something really important about going back to basics because we're going to need these things. We're going to need them again. We don't even have to look out of our window to know that something is happening in the world right now.
Right.
And war is a part of that, but there are so many things that are happening. We're all feeling like something's not quite right. And so for me, the answer is culture. And so I'm much more focused on whatever struggles come, and they are daily and they are always present. Overcoming or going straight through those struggles is really important because the future is really dependent on the things we do now.
That's a really long answer. But bless.
That's the question, you get the answer.
Yeah, well, but it's an honest answer. I really like it. It's given me food for thought. It really has.
None of us are here for no reason.
Right.
None of us are.
Like
Every single person has a role to play. Some of us know that that's about the people in our immediate vicinity. Some of us are fortunate to have the influence over whole swathes of people. Some of us are even more fortunate to have generational influence. I know where my influence is, and I'm going to max it out and make sure that what I leave is permanent.
So what do you think your role is?
I think there is something about encouraging. If I was to really boil it down, I'm really interested in people being inspired because I think at the end of the day, that is the thing that's being snuffed out of us. Our soul desires inspiration. Right. That's why we create gods and altars and all of these things. We make connections with people. We gravitate to people that we feel like, oh, I would love to have that. I would love to be like that. Yeah. There is something inherent in our humanness that is about inspiration, and that spark of inspiration for me is the divine. Whatever our definition of that is, whatever our personal definition is, there is something that sparks us when we are inspired. And I think that truly my role is to inspire, and I've chosen to do that through culture. I've chosen to do that as a leader. I've chosen to do that in so many different ways, and that doesn't mean that I don't still have a role to play in my community as an elder, as an auntie, as a, so many different roles that we all have.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've said it to you before. Stella, you inspire me and I admire you greatly. You know that.
Thank you, babe.
You know what I mean? Seriously, I just, we've known each other for a long time. Yeah. And every time I talk to you, I think I need to be a little bit more like Stella.
I don't think that's a bad thing. Be more Stella.
But I just want to go back a little bit. Yeah. Okay. When you were a young kid growing up around Oval at Brixton, did you ever imagine yourself being the head of the Globe Theatre? I
mean, a bit like you, the Globe was not. Look, even when the role became available, it wasn't something that was right in my eye line.
Oh, really?
But because I'm always looking for what's the opportunity, right? And so I had to strip away that it's the Globe and had to go, what's there? So what's there is a lot of intentionality. What's there is some really good people. What's there is. So once you just start making all the lists, you go, that's a potential place. And I think I've always been like that as a child because I was about adventure. Right. I was about going out and finding the opportunity. And I'm part of a whole generation of people that were into that. And so I think for me, when I was young, growing up on Ashmole, it was always inherent in me because my parents were really about education. They were really about, you've got to do something. And
so my parents were like that, but it didn't happen with me. They're Nigerian. It didn't happen with me. It didn't happen with me.
I didn't lean into that. It was always the expectation that I was going to make a difference. And, you know, like I say, that difference can be in multiple different ways. But I knew that I was here to make a difference. My name is Stella. Right. Stella means star. My Nigerian name is Ngozi, which means gift from God. Oh, wow. You can't have those two names together and do nothing. It's impossible. Somebody has to come and learn you if that's what you want to do.
I hear that.
So already that mark is on me.
Right.
But, you know, I'm always a person that I do believe the happy-go-lucky girl is me. Right. I'm interested in the possibility of living. If we're here living, and I'm a cancer survivor, for me, if we're here living, then I want to be 100% human.
Right.
I want to get every last drop out of this ride until the end.
Okay, thank you. You know, I'm going to ask you, Stella, what have you been most proud of that you've done over the years? What is it that you can say, you know what, I'm really, really happy I did that. I really enjoyed doing that.
For me, I think the thing that I'm the most proud of is I know how to love people who don't deserve it.
Oh.
I know how to take care of people who don't expect it.
Ooh.
I know how to operate in love.
Wow. Okay. That is deep.
Yes, did you ask the question?
Yes, I did ask the question. That is deep.
But that is the thing I'm proud of.
Right.
Because that's what separates me from a cat.
Right.
That's what that's the choice we've got on this planet. If we think about the leaders that we've got now, and it doesn't have to just be America. There were so many leaders across the world where you're like, is this who's leading us? Because they are without that ability to love.
You know, Stella, I think you probably, because today I was on the train going to work and I was reading the paper, and sometimes I want to cry, because I just think every page you turn is somebody doing something, some madness to somebody else, and you just think, what is going on, really?
And that's why love and inspiration is so important. They're so denigrated in our culture. Like, they're seen as being something that's soft, or you're not really serious. Yeah, but how serious is it to walk through this world that we all know every day trying to love? Yeah. That's badass. That is the most powerful warrior stance you can take in these times. To inspire and to think of inspiration and sparking and connecting. To me, they're not obvious, but we are in a culture that doesn't value it on purpose. We're supposed to be individualistic. We're supposed to be really focused on what we want, what we need. Where's community? Where's the sense of the world beyond us? Only love and inspiration shows you that. They are all pointed towards the future.
I think really in these times, the thing I miss the most, as a Londoner, I don't know about the rest of the UK, we just used to be a kind of community. You looked after people. You really did. Yeah, you really did. Now, I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me on the tube a few weeks ago. I was got on the tube, and I saw this old white guy getting on the tube, and he was walking like this. And he just about made it onto the train, before and I looked at him, and he sat down in the first chair, and I went, bang! It just, like,
what happened?
His head just went down like this, like he fell asleep. I was a bit concerned, There was only about 3 people in the whole carriage. I was a bit concerned. So I got up, and I said, are you all right? He said, I'm all right. I just need to sleep. I said, do you want any water or anything? He said, no, I just need to sleep. I'm all right. I said, okay. He went back. This is no lie. There was a young man who sat in front of him. Okay, I was sat over there. A young man sat in front of him. And as soon as he went, the young man moved.
Wow.
He moved. He didn't want to have any, he thought maybe something happened to him.
Yeah.
And he moved.
Wow.
He actually moved. He was sat right in front. He moved.
Such a symbol
to go,
of something, isn't it?
And I thought, but that guy could be in trouble. He moved.
Wow.
And then I got up and said to him, find out if it was, but he moved. And I thought, that's a human being, just find out is he okay?
Wow.
You understand?
I mean, I can't explain that.
And
I don't know.
that's a kind of lack of
Yeah.
thing I see. And I think, but
I mean, it could be so many things, though, couldn't it? It could be a lack of care. It could be a fear of having to deal with somebody intimately. Because I wonder if you're on your phone all day, like how scary it must be to deal with people in real life who are not part of your network. It could be a whole host of things. Whatever it is, whatever the reason, and let's say that we don't know, but whatever the reason, it wasn't a natural function to help.
It's to help.
To lean in. And that's the problem.
That's what I had a problem with, was if you see somebody like, you're naturally saying, are you okay? Not to, I'm going to move. And that was it. And I was shocked. I didn't even say anything to him. I thought...
I mean, there are some scenes, if I see outside, I'm gone.
Right.
I'm not there.
But what I'm saying
it's not everything.
No, it's not everything. But
yeah.
you see somebody just, you just find, are you okay? That's all you need. And he said, I'm all right. Yeah, that's all you needed to ask him. And he said, I'm all right. I said, you want? No, I don't want. But that he just moved.
And this is why I think, during COVID, do you remember there were like acts of kindness that people were like sharing? And I think that those things are so lean into what we need right now. Because we do need kindness, we need care, we need love, we need inspiration. We absolutely need these things. And they are not coming to us through the algorithms.
No.
They are done in person, connectivity. They're done when we are together. And that's why I have so much hope in theatre and culture to be able to bridge that gap, because that's when we gather together. We gather together in clubs. We gather together in theatre. We gather together in cinema. We gather together. And gathering is what's going to help us. Gathering with this sense of the divine, this sense of being connected, this sense of creativity.
Thank you very much, Stella. One thing I'm going to ask you, which is something that just came to my mind. You also, was it the CEO at Lift?
Yes, I was. Before.
Which is an international theatre.
London International Festival of Theatre.
How was that?
It was really interesting because that is a whole different kettle of fish than the Globe. We're bringing in international works with a real focus on works that are happening in the global majority, whether that's Swana, whether that's in Africa, whether that's in Asia. We're bringing those international works that we think resonate with the London audience. Really fun time, but also during COVID. So really tough, really challenging. But again, the desire to really hold and ring fence what is, I think, really vital Indigenous work. It's really important.
How did you find working at Lift? Was it okay?
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, I definitely think COVID kind of was really challenging, and it really meant that we had to think on our feet. We ended up cancelling our festival like 15 days before. I think 15 days before COVID announcement, we had announced our festival and we had to kind of shut it all down. So like technically behind the scenes, loads of stuff to do. But in terms of the endeavour, really, really exciting. They've now just been absorbed into Baxi Art Centre, who are taking on Lift. Yeah.
Are they really?
They are. So Lift still has a life and a legacy. And really glad to have been a small, very tiny part of it for a few years.
Okay. You know what, there's the last tune here, but Snarky Puppy.
It's Layla Hathaway.
No, it's Snarky Puppy with Layla Hathaway.
Yeah. But it's her that I really love. It's her voice that I love.
Because you sent me the list, and I was looking for and I said, no, it's Snarky, but you missed them out. So you missed that Snarky Puppy. You keep on missing out their name. You keep on going Layla Hathaway.
Oh, I want to remember. But Layla is Donny Hathaway's daughter.
Hey, I got tunes by her, man.
Yeah.
I got tunes by Dad, and I got tunes by...
It's amazing. I think he was one of the most iconic voices of his generation. And again, really sad that he's no longer with us, but she is incredible. Yeah. Her voice is incredible. There are some notes that she hits in this track that are just sublime.
Yeah, Layla Hathaway, I got tunes by Layla Hathaway that is just...
We should go see her when she's
here. Hey... You said it.
I'm down.
All right, we can do that.
You buy the tickets.
I knew there was going to be a catch. Oh, what press play?
Ooh, it's something. You and I have something. How I long to be around when you can see that you and I have something in common. Oh, it's something when you can see that. And I'm sure of one thing, how I long to be around when you can see that you and I have something in common. It's been a revelation, yeah, yeah. You've been an inspiration to me, and there is not one
Wow. From Wayne Wade to Snarky Puppy. You've taken us on a journey, Stella. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Where are you now musically?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Yes.
Where am I now musically?
I'm giving you one interesting question. One.
I mean, music is always and will always remain a really important part of my makeup and my being. And yeah, I'm always listening out for like new music,
right.
but I'm very much attached to my nostalgia. Okay. So some classics, some sounds will always be,
right.
Yeah, happy-go-lucky girl.
All right. But is there any particular band or that you're really into right now?
Not really,
Okay.
Not really.
Yeah,
but I do
fair
listen. Yeah, not really. There's no one that I'd kind of recommend like live.
Oh,
No.
fair dues. You know what? I've got to say thank you very much for being the very first guest on this podcast. Yeah, nice one, Kel. And I said to Camo and Shaya when I had a meeting with them, look, the one person I want to get was you.
Well, thank you for the invite.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
I've always wanted to have a sit down and have a chat with you proper, and I thought other music would be nice.
Well, I hope it's been what you've imagined.
I know it was, and time is going really quickly, and unfortunately we're coming to an end. How did you find it, Stella?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really do appreciate the invite and the opportunity to share music that I love and that means something to me.
Oh,
so thanks.
nice one. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I mean, it's big up to everybody at Dalston Radio Live, and thank you all very much for giving us this opportunity. Had a great time. So people, until the next time, please try and tune in. See you then. Bless.